Dr. Ted Emanuel coming from Jamaica.
Oh, wow.
He is merged into my phone call, so hopefully we'll be able to grab his audio. He's not able to connect through Zoom for some reason. So, Dr. Emanuel, welcome.
Okay, hi there. Thank you, Denise. And it's quite an opportunity for me to be on this awesome conference call with everyone. I love it.
Are you able to view through Facebook at least?
Well, I am watching you on Facebook.
Well, could you do me a favor and turn off your sound on, if possible, with Facebook, because we're getting some feedback from.
Okay, I just did.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yes, and I can hear you.
Great. So you're up for a half an hour, Dr. Ted. Go for it.
I'll be up in half an hour?
No, you have 1 half hour, so please.
Oh, I have a half an hour.
Yes.
Okay. It's an honor and a privilege, and it's quite a day. So much information. It's incredible. I love it. Down here, the sun is hot, and I'm enjoying it. Even though I'm inside, I'm just enthralled with this whole new way and wave of wellness. What I would like to share today with our listeners, viewers, I'm going to speak briefly on digestive wellness. Because we're talking about absorption of CBD. We're talking about absorption of food. I listened to several of the doctors there, and it's like they took my thunder, because absorption is very important, especially when you were talking about the endocrine system. When you talk about the endocrine system, you have to involve the entire digestive system, because without good digestion, we're not going anywhere. Okay? When you eat, drink, the food is not really going anywhere unless the entire digestive process is intact. So we are taking in food without paying much attention to the condition of our overall digestive system. Take, for instance, the stomach controls the spleen. So if we are not being kind to the stomach by way of proper mastication, we're going to disrupt the stomach's ability and its functionality to prepare for the second phase, which would be the condition of the spleen and the pancreas. Now, the spleen and the pancreas, they're part of the entire endocrine system, right? So we know, and someone mentioned it earlier, they mentioned the liver, for instance. It's important to know that the liver itself is actually like the gateway to the blood system. Once we are overburdening the liver itself, is going to impact negatively on the gallbladder. The gallbladder has to be in good condition to utilize the bile that's coming from the liver so that it can do its work. I mean, the gallbladder doing its work to manufacture saliva, for instance, for protein. All right? It's not just the pancreas that manufactures saliva. right? So the gallbladder we have to be kind to so we don't overeat and overburden the liver to overburden the gallbladder. Once that happens, the excess bile is going to go to the adrenal glands. The adrenal glands are crucially important that we are kind to these glands, or the adrenal glands, so that the blood system is not overburdened with all this toxic material coming from the gallbladder. Because what happens? It gets into the kidneys. Once it gets into the kidneys, the excess is going to be shuttled. The fatty acid is going to be shuttled to the sebaceous glands, and someone mentioned the importance of the skin, right? Once that happens, the skin is going to try and make adjustments for the sudoriferous glands, the sweat glands. Now, someone mentioned water. We have to be very careful here with the excess water, especially if it's not live water. It is important that we get live water, but not in excess, because once you overburden these sudoriferous glands, along with the overburdening and the excess of the sebaceous gland, the skin is going to become too thick, too heavy, right? By excess storage. It is going to block oxygen coming into the skin. Well, oxygenation is very crucial, and someone mentioned it earlier, to the blood. Now, once this happens, it puts a burden on the entire endocrine system, mainly the thalamus and the hypothalamus, the control system, which supports the pineal gland and the pituitary gland. Well, we're talking about cannabidiol stuff. We're talking about CBD. And once you get the CBD into the system via the blood, it's important that we understand that if these glands are not up to level, you're going to have where the entire organism is going to fail. When it fails, it puts a bad name on the CBD, as if the CBD is not doing justice to the entire organism. So digestion here is crucial. It's not just absorption, nor digestion. Assimilation is crucial. Conversion is crucial. So that whole neurological and hormonal system must be intact. Another crucial thing is exercise. Exercise is something that I recommend highly with my program. Now, the reason why I mentioned program, I have a 4-part program that I recommend to all my clients. The first is detoxification, purification, and harmonization of red and white blood cells. Now, it takes me 3 to 4 months, consecutive months, to do that. So that first 30 days, 28 to 30 days of my program is crucial to the process, right? The second phase of the program is where now we start making blood. The blood system has to be something that is taken not lightly, because red and white blood cells must be able to communicate on some level, one way or another. So if you are anemic, for instance, one way or another, be it red or white blood cells, you must know, the technician must know, the person who's making the recommendation must know the condition and quality, viscosity of the blood, right? Blood condition. How do I know that? Well, through sight, sound, touch, and smell, the condition of the skin is crucial. So marks, moles, warts, freckles, the thickness of the skin, it is crucial that we know what condition the blood system is in. Are you hearing me?
Oh, yes.
We're hearing you loud and clear.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So it's important that we pay attention by way of the skin. The skin tells all about the blood, be it dry, oily, doughy, whatever condition the skin is in, we must know that it's coming from the blood. Now, the third phase of the program is crucial here, because nourishing the skin, nourishment for the skin, we must know whether the skin is oily, lacking oil, and how much, or lacking moisture, or lacking both oil and moisture. So these are just things that we have to know as a technician to make the right recommendation as far as the amount of water, the amount of protein, the amount of exercise, the type of things during this third phase, because that is the phase where we start to reintroduce protein molecules. Now, someone mentioned beef and fish and so forth. Well, there's so many things that you get protein from. We use mostly legumes, beans and peas. I heard one of the doctors mention mung beans. Mung beans are very good. I combine several beans and peas. Lentils are very good for the skin, along with the mung beans. Azuki beans is another bean that I use, I recommend highly for protein. Now, in that phase, that particular building and strengthening phase, we move on to, if the person is involved in eating flesh, we do not recommend pork nor beef because of the size of the molecules here. And if we're recommending fish, we recommend smaller fish. Okay? A variety of
Is
fish.
that because of the mercury?
Because of the mercury and so forth. But I heard the White House doctor mention Japan. I am Japanese trained for the past 50 years, I would say 48 years, in the Japanese system. And I utilize or recommend a combination of seaweed with my land vegetables, okay, for balance. Now, with the grains, the vegetables that I recommend would actually depends on the person's lifestyle, metabolically. I would have to know the type of work they do and whether they work inside or outside, how active they are, etc. Now,
are you talking about the seaweed as a mineral supplement? Because we use that when we're growing plants.
and for purification and detoxification.
There you go.
It is very important because in the Western society, we don't see vegetables as something that we should get because sometimes the persons don't know how to prepare. Preparation is key here.
Right.
Utilization, the percentage of seaweed versus land vegetables, the type of land vegetables. Something I liked that was said about, I think it was Dr. Dino. I like him. I like everybody, but I like his head. I like where he's coming from because we're on the same level, plus he's funny. His humor is very good. Sea vegetables are crucial to remove toxins from the blood.
Cilantro
Okay.
too.
And
cilantro is an amazing detoxifier. If you just went to your local Mexican restaurant and had the Mexican salad bar, which is the chopped onions with the cilantro, perfect. Good stuff.
Perfect. Yes. So what we do, we combine a certain percentage of land vegetables with sea vegetables, depending on the condition of the blood. As I said, well, you're speaking, but I really can't hear you to respond to what's being said. But
we can hear you, Doc.
You're breaking up.
Hear you.
I hear you now. So it's very important that I think the White House doctor mentioned sticking to the program. I use a system of 120 days because it takes that long for the human organism metabolically, depends on your condition, metabolic condition, to make a complete transition and renew both red and white blood cells. Now, once I do that and the person, the client, my patient sticks to it, I can't miss. I've used this system to eradicate, and I'm using this strongly, the HTLV virus. I think to date I'm one of very few, if few, who is very successful with that. Herpes, for instance. And now here we have this COVID-19 virus, and people are looking for a quick fix, but it's not a quick fix for today. What we do is we prepare the blood system for future, not just for today. So I am going to recommend that those who are home now, just like someone said earlier, read, study, listen, and you'd be surprised what you can learn, or you may learn from just some of these, the conversations I'm hearing today. I myself have learned a whole lot, a hell of a lot. And, I've been involved here for a few years, as I mentioned, over 48 years of assisting people. But food is what and who we are, and how we eat and drink is what and how we become. So we are able to determine or see the behavior in people just based on their attitude. We can tell exactly what you're taking in and what you're putting out, whether you're putting out or not. The other thing is constipation is one of the biggest problems, because if you're constipated, then you're going to have problems with the entire endocrine system. You're going to have problems with your blood system. The large intestines correlate with practically every organ and gland, every cell within the body. So if it's not clean, not just from plaquing of the walls, but tissue-wise, the entire system, from the ascending colon, the transverse, and the descending colon, especially the bowels, right? I see Denise is smiling. I don't know if I'm saying something that, you know.
No,
But,
It's an inside joke.
I get the joke, Denise. I just caught it.
I was awarded it earlier. Yeah. I don't know if she's giving it to someone else now.
So most of the problems we have is coming from plaque of the colon. The small intestines, it's important that we understand chewing is crucial here. I feel chewing is crucial. It's vitally important because it takes some of the burden off of the off of the colon. And if the colon is not clean, you're going to have bad blood. And if you have bad blood, the mind is not going to do well. And it's a mind-body connection. So it's important that we...
Doctor, would that leave you with a shitty outlook on life?
Well, that has to be Dr. Dino.
Oh, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Hanging on your every word, sir. Hanging on your every word.
Yes. You know, I recommend a variety of herbs, but it depends on the person's condition here, that I would make a recommendation of certain spices and herbs, because everyone is uniquely different. If a person is a diabetic, came to me, I would not give his diabetic wife if she's diabetic. You see, because again, diabetes in a male is totally different than diabetes in a female. Diabetes in a person who is small-bodied is different than a person who has a full body, metabolically speaking. So it is important that we know that these herbs are not food. They're just there to assist the body, to assist the blood. And those are some of the things that I wanted to share today. I get a lot of people with prostate problems. If you are constipated, for instance, and you're drinking excessively, your prostate is going to suffer. Well, the prostate is a gland. If the prostate is being squashed and you're having problems, that in itself is going to throw the entire organism off. If you're constipated, it's going to throw off the mammary gland, okay? Neurologically and otherwise, hormonally. So here I am. I found this thing they call CBD, and I was using the CBD, but it was in an oil phase, right? And someone, I think is a wonderful guy, called me up and told me he found CBD in a water phase, water soluble. And I was introduced, and I was really, really taken aback with this particular CBD because it makes sense. And I try to explain to my clients, it's just like an egg. When you crack an egg, you see the liquid part of the egg, and if you apply heat to it, it coagulates and it becomes hard, firm, and it's totally different than when you put heat to the yolk of the egg. Now, I personally I stopped eating eggs for quite some time because the integrity of the eggs today that they have is not they don't meet my standards, so I don't eat them. But I'm just trying to make a point here. I am really taken aback with this new scientific development with the water phase, and I am encouraging my clients, patients, about the science behind it, the technology behind it. I'm trying to learn as much as possible about it because it's easier on the entire system. All right. What else can I share?
Well, we have a couple of questions for you if you're ready for them.
Yes, I will take your question.
Denise, do you want to go first? Or mine's kind of related to the question that I had. Why don't I go ahead and just take it? So, Dr. Emanuel, can you explain the relationship that cannabis has as it correlates with oral health, gut health, and brain health? Because I know that brain health really depends a lot on a healthy digestive tract, a healthy gut. And what do you see cannabis as related to it? How do you see cannabis related to it?
Well, the relationship here with cannabis is the focus is really on the pineal and pituitary gland. I'm not hearing. You're breaking up.
Oh, can you hear me okay now?
No, I can. Repeat the question, please.
Okay, so the question is, could you explain the relationship that cannabis has as it correlates with oral health, brain health, and gut health? Because I know that brain health is really dependent upon a healthy gut, right? So,
right.
How do you see the relationship of cannabis as it pertains to brain and gut health as they correlate?
Well, as we know, the purpose or the main purpose here of CBD is to assist the pineal and pituitary gland. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I'm getting a heavy delay, so I'm not hearing her. I know there's a delay, but I'm not hearing what she's saying.
I'm not speaking. It's all yours.
Oh, okay. The CBD is to enhance the functionality of the pineal and pituitary gland. Their condition really depends on the entire hormonal system. But the boss there, the one that controls those two, would be the hypothalamus. If the colon is not clean or it's being impacted, it's because the gut, the stomach, or what is coming in excess. You can have a sluggish colon. You can have a sluggish bowel, a strained bowel. Well, there is a direct correlation between the bowel and the lower part of the colon itself, the descending colon going into the bowel, right? Mm-hmm. Now, if the bowel itself is stagnated, then it's not going to do well because putrefaction is going to set in, toxemia, the blood is not going to do well. So the entire endocannabidiol system is not going to do well. The thalamus, the hypothalamus, they're not going to do well. So there is a correlation between the CBD getting into the system from a cellular level, it is going to do a lot for the entire neurological system. All the cells, all the glands, all the organs are controlled by those hormonal systems.
Okay, great.
I don't know if that suffices your question, but remember, it is one body, and you can't be just fixing your oil part of your car, the oil engine, and not pay attention to your radiator condition.
Right.
And if you're paying attention to both, you have to go and look at your electrical system. So the electrical phase of the body is very important. So I am looking at the entire oil phase, water phase, gas phase, electrical phase of the body and work with all four parts of the entire organism so that I can achieve harmony. CBD is crucial, and we know that by now. That's why we encourage mothers to feed the baby from the breast rather than from a formula from the drugstore or from wherever, you know. And as we grow and we become deficient in our CBD intake, where the body is not getting enough of it, we're going to have problems neurologically and otherwise.
Well, thank you, Dr. Emmanuel. We have got to end your segment. And for people that would like to connect with you around the world, what is your best contact?
My best contact would be by email. We are rebuilding, in a process as we speak, we're building my website, but my email is tedemmanuel@gmail.com.
Okay, great.
I'm not hearing you, Denise.
I really
You're welcome.
appreciate it. We will be in touch very soon. Thank you so much for calling in from Jamaica.
Thank you, Dr. Emmanuel.
I'll continue to listen.
I plan my next vacation to get down to Jamaica, Mon, and I certainly will be looking you up. That will be most enjoyable.